The signing of the American Declaration of Independence was celebrated with a toast of George Washington's favorite tipple, Madeira wine. For 200 years, it was America's favorite drink. A quarter of all production ended up in the United States. This is the fascinating story of Madeira. Madeira, alone in the ocean. It took 4 million years for these rocks to thrust up through the waves, 6 kilometers from the deep floor of the Atlantic and 500 kilometers from Africa. Europe's age of discovery began in the 15th century, a quest to map the rest of the world and find new resources. In 1418, a Portuguese ship was blown off course in a storm. The mariners named the smaller island where they found refuge Porto Santo, the Holy Harbour, in gratitude for their deliverance from a watery grave. The Madeira Islands were then claimed by Portugal. Madeira means wood in Portuguese. These subtropical mountainous islands have been draped with a unique cloud forest for nearly 2 million years. The thick, strong timbers were to influence sailing ship design. The Portuguese caravel was a small ship of between 50 and 150 tons that was highly maneuverable, could brave strong winds and negotiate powerful currents, and it could sail both with and against the wind. Farmers were brought from northern Portugal. The climate was ideal for sugarcane, and the islands were exporting sugar in great quantity by the mid-15th century. Christopher Columbus learned all about sailing as a sugar trader. He brought cargoes of sugar to Europe, as did many others. These ships also brought slaves from West Africa and the Canary Islands to work in the plantations. These islands sit where the trade winds begin to blow across the Atlantic. Columbus was looking for valuable Asian spices when he sailed across to the New World. What he found instead were the right climate and conditions to grow sugarcane. By the mid-16th century, most sugar plantations had moved to Brazil and the West Indies. Madeira lost a valuable trade, but found another. As the early European and Mediterranean explorers headed west to catch the winds that would carry them toward faraway treasures, these islands were the last staging post before the crossing. Now, the early settlers of the islands also brought with them varietal grapes, which grew splendidly in a microclimate that has plenty of rain in the winter and plenty of sun in the summer. Combined with abundant supplies of sugar, the grapes were made into wine. But wine didn't keep well on these turbulent Atlantic voyages, so it was fortified with brandy or other spirits. On board, the casks of Madeira wine were exposed to repeated heating and cooling with the sun, and also to the continuous motion in the barrels. When some ships returned to Madeira with unopened casks, they discovered that the fortified wine tasted even better. In fact, a properly processed Madeira wine, heated and shaken over months, becomes everlasting. It will taste just as good in 100 years. Today, young restaurateurs around Europe are rediscovering fortified wines. Madeira is used in sauces, for making toasts and wonderful new cocktails. Madeira is back on trend.